Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Uticang, and it's the show where we chat about business analysis and project management issues, the challenges and triumphs within those fields. And of course, it's inspiring, it's informative, and very much inquisitive. My guest today is an entrepreneur, project manager, and life coach. He's an author of a book called Making It Home, Finding Your Power and Purpose. Please help me welcome to today's show from Toronto, Canada, Chris Clouse. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Marcus. Good to be with you today.
Very much the same on this side too. Thank you. Now, I thought I'd start off by asking the obvious. You know, we've all gotten into project management somehow. Some is just by happenstance, others planned it. What drove you into project management as a career?
I was thinking about this idea. There's two things. First of all, I think right from a young age, I knew that I excelled in projects in some shape or form. I mean, I was thinking back to grade 8, if you can believe it. The project was, I don't know what the project was, but what I ended up doing, the implementation of it, was I created a motorized go-kart. Mm. It was the coolest thing. I actually had a guy help me assemble a Haddock 2-stroke engine, and I took pictures and I wrote about the combustion process, etc. And I had a frame, and it was just a real passion project. And so throughout my career, in grade 12, I built an archtop guitar. So, obviously later in IT, that translated into IT projects, but there's always been that affinity for creating things and getting people together, working towards a larger vision. And actually what ended up happening is I took night school courses for project management. And unfortunately or fortunately, the PM at the time for the company I was working for got canned. Mm-hmm. And my manager tapped me on the shoulder and said, I know that you'll do a good job with this. You're studying at school. So the opportunity to sort of apply your education on the job at the same time and be mentored was too good to pass up. So that was in 2003.
Nice. That's a very unique and very creative and very cool, I think, story about your career to project management. How has your PM experience really helped you to impact people and processes?
Again, back in school, I didn't know it at the time, but I went to Carleton University. I studied industrial design and information design. And I had a very influential professor in a course, it was called Innovation. And he taught about the Toyota manufacturing process and the agile manufacturing process and the lean thinking. And he recommended a book, The Machine That Changed the World, which is all about the Toyota and how they got into the industry. And so I was really intrigued by that. And then later, actually, the same year that I started project management, 2003, my wife and I went to Santa Clara, which, if you see the background, you'll notice San Francisco, so just outside of San Francisco. And that was an agile conference. And that was really interesting to see how these agile lean principles sort of made their way into software. So it was all kind of, coming together. And then my first actual agile project was in 2006. That was the same year around the same time that we met, actually. And so I learned a lot, about people, process, and tools. And I think the agile process, the Toyota way, really inspired me to really empower people, right? To build value into the processes, to minimize waste, to really focus on customer satisfaction and benefits. So that was something that what I've tried to do today in all of my projects, starting back in 2006. Even though I wasn't practicing agile the noun, it was about practicing agile the verb and bringing lean thinking and agile into everything, and just to try and implement some of those core principles. So I've always adapted those core principles in all my projects.
Nice. And a good time to adapt certainly is during trying times like we have now with COVID. Definitely agile's front and center of a lot of things that we do. No
Yeah,
doubt. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm. So you've had experience leading transformational changes in the banking environment, some of which I've done
Okay.
too. How was that experience? And any advice for other project managers in that arena?
There's two projects that come to mind in the recent years in the banking environment. Actually, one was for the Bank of Canada recently. What really made that project stand out for me was we had a very strong change management team in place. And while it was an IT transformation, it was just as much as a people transformation. And, you know, it's very important, depending on the size of the project, that you have that change management voice, if you will, at the steering committee level, at the program level, and at the project level, like all three levels. That's what I experienced. So naturally, it meant that the project ran smoothly, and you know, things like doing pilot projects and building. You know, building, I guess, trust and early adapters and you know, people that you can use later on when the project inevitably goes through trials and tribulations. So those are keys. And yeah, from my experience, if people don't adapt to the change, then you know the project becomes a failure because they won't end up implementing or using the technology. So
Yeah, no
that's what
doubt.
I would say.
Yeah, I think that unified, uniform voice at all levels of the organization are so vitally important. What's been your experience with a project management office, a PMO, and following governance practices?
Well, I've been pretty fortunate. Um, I've managed two project management offices in my career, and I've also been a practitioner on the other side of the fence. So I've seen both sides, and you gain an appreciation for process. You know, when you're in the PMO office, I mean, you're very much concerned with you know, kind of at the portfolio level, making sure that projects go through governance right from the beginning and the right projects get selected to offer that business value, to mitigate risk across the portfolio. Sometimes that means you have to make difficult decisions like, no, we're not
Yeah,
going to do this
yeah,
project, or at least not now. Um, and then on the other side, you know, when you know how to navigate through those waters, because you know what, you know, how to strategically get projects approved if you've been through that intake process, which is one of the key processes. But also things about making sure there's a good, strong sponsorship and strong leadership when things go off course. I mean, you know, so tracking activities and having a raid log and status reports, all these things are important to manage upwards. And when you know how escalations work and when you know how PMOs work, it kind of helps you, and you appreciate the importance of what seems like a monotonous things, but later on that helps you get the support that you need when things don't go well. So
yeah.
I don't know, does that answer your question?
No, yeah, no, it's good. I like the response about no. I was watching this video about Agile once, and it said a favorite word or a famous word, a famous word in Agile is no. Learn to use the word no very frequently, and that way your backlog will be minimized or something like that.
I
It's kind
love
of
it.
funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny. What's been your experience with launching this center of excellence? We have a center of excellence for business analysis. We have a center of excellence for project management. What's
Yeah.
been your experience with launching a center of excellence?
Well, that's right around the time that we worked together. I was very fortunate because I think when we set the center of excellence up and properly. I mean, it has to come top down. And so when you have the leadership behind you, and also investing in, we had a third party, I don't know if you remember, but we had a third party consulting firm come in, and so we could leverage their expertise and their credibility. So when you've got the credibility, the expertise, and the support, it just makes for a good beginning. And because you're changing culture when you're talking about a center of excellence, you're talking about a much different way to manage projects than the traditional, where it came kind of from the military, and having the war room and the big project plan, taking up a whole wall, and so that having a small, nimble center of excellence where everyone is trying to continuously get better is really a culture shift. So that was my experience, really having strong support. And one of my favorite quotes, actually, it's from Deepak Chopra. He says, "Success is a byproduct of excellence."
Yeah.
So you have a center of excellence, you're always trying to get better, and success just becomes a product of the process.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, success is a product of. Yeah, I like that very much. So you've had a long time passion with spiritual science, right? That's been sort of a central focus of yours, and that's sort of, and that's inspired you to write the book "Making It Home: Finding Your Power and Purpose." Can you tell us a bit about the central theme and purpose of your book?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you've ever created a kind of a bucket list at some point in your life, right? My wife and I used to do it years ago, and writing a book was always one of those things. It was, and spirituality is spiritual science, like being able to experience it and repeat it and talk about it, and has always been a passion of mine. Unfortunately, everyone that goes through this, my dad passed away, and he was a real influence to me. And so that there was kind of almost an emotional decision that, okay, well, you know what, now's the time to take that bucket list item and actually do something with it. And it gave me the moment, I dedicated the book to him. So Making It Home is synonymous with creating heaven on earth. It's this concept that heaven isn't some place, some fictional place that we go to. If you really read and understand even the Bible, you realize that it's here now. It's something, it's inside of us, it's all around us. So it begs the question, how do we experience it here and now in different aspects of our life, in our career, with our relationships, in health and wellness, in finances. So what I tried to do in the book was, although it was a fiction, it was kind of a historical fiction. I tried to bring in excerpts and realities just to give people hope that we can make this world a better place, and if we co-create together, we can create this concept of heaven on earth. So a bit more of a pragmatic approach to it, and it really it really ties in with my life coaching.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I had a great aunt that lived until the age of 103 or 104 or something like that. She passed away a few years ago. And I asked her one day, if you give me a piece of advice, what is it? She said, "This is your heaven, but it's also your hell. Make use of it." So something to that effect.
That's great.
Good old Auntie Bye. All right. So as a certified life coach, right, what are some of the services that you provide?
Well, I offer, in some cases, some one-on-one coaching and some small workshops where we're really, I'm trying to bring together three things in my coaching. And it ties in with my book as well. The first thing is, if you want to be successful, and we know that's a byproduct of excellence, if we want to be successful, the first thing is to have a clear intention of what you really want, right? Not what somebody else wants, not what your well-intentioned parents and teachers and maybe your colleagues are telling you think you need. What do you really want? And it's an emotional, it's at an emotional level, right? So in some cases, it's kind of suppressed in your subconscious. So you want to be really clear. So believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't really know what they want. And they realize that in their sort of 40s and 50s. The second thing is, once you know what you want, you have to give attention to it, right? So you got intention, but you got attention, and you get what you think about. You get the habits that you create, the beliefs that you create. So coaching is all about helping people first figure out what they want, but then to focus on it, right? And to remove the distractions. And then the last thing is, you got intention, you got attention. The last thing is no tension. We all have limiting beliefs and emotional blocks and things that we've been told you can't do this, or this is how you should do this. But the reality is the only limitation is the limitation that we impose ourselves. And so no tension means just clearing those emotional blocks and getting and starting to believe in whatever your intention is. So when you have intention, attention, and no tension, you can really effectively create whatever it is that you want. So that's the sort of philosophy that I coach by, and I try and bring it not only to workshops, but even in my project management. I mean, it's a different way of managing people when you try and get them lined up, if you will. So
yeah, nice. I like that. Okay, you're a life coach. What's some advice to those aspiring to enter the project management field? Any life coach advice for PMs?
Well, other than intention, attention, and no tension, I think the first thing is, talk to some other project managers. Listen to their story. See if your core values and your core desires are in alignment with what their experience is. Don't think about it in terms of, how much money am I going to make? I mean, that's a great question to ask, but just see if there's an alignment with who you are and the kind of values that you have. Yeah. And again, that ties in with the intention. The second thing is find a coach, find a mentor. Could be myself, could be you, could be a whole, a mentor is someone that has what you want, but has been where you are. Yeah. So they can understand both sides. A coach is someone that helps you overcome the obstacles to get where you want. So they're not the same. So really you should find I would say a mentor, but if you can find a coach, that would be great too. The third thing is just to get out of your comfort zone. Start building confidence. And the only way to build confidence is to take action. So they can be small actions. It could be volunteer work. It could be helping. It could be taking the classes that you need. All of these steps will help you build confidence. And then guess what? We create our own luck. Like I'm a firm believer, we create our own luck. So when that story I told you, some might say, well, you kind of got lucky. Well, no, it was the action that I took. It was the intention that I had. And I created my own luck. And I believe that anybody can do that. And then the last thing I would say is make it fun, right? Enjoy the process. You're going to make mistakes. All good PMs learn from their mistakes, and they have that support network, that coach and that mentor, hopefully to help them overcome them. But that's what makes a good PM, right? You try not to repeat the mistakes. So just make it fun. Don't worry. So I don't know. Those are the 4 steps that I would recommend anybody follow.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah. I think they're good lessons learned. They're good takeaways from your experience. And I am a mentor, sometimes a coach too, but more so a mentor, and almost the same thing. You sometimes you think your experiences have no impact on other people, but then you start talking to them and they think, wow, I took your advice. And so I think we can all make a change in our own small way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice, yeah. Cool. If anyone from the audience wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so, Chris?
Well, honestly, the best way is just to visit my website, and I have a feature there where they can book a one-to-one on with me. There's no cost to have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and talk about whatever project management, whatever they want. If it's coaching, chrisclousecoaching.com. Clouse is CLOUSE. So chrisclousecoaching.com. And yeah, book me for a one-on-one. I'd love to share and to learn and to co-create. So
yeah, nice, sweet. Well, thanks very much, Chris. This has been very informative, and I think there's a lot of PMs that could take away a lot from this. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Marcus. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have yourself a great day.
Bye.
Okay, bye.